Hello everybody and welcome to the 5th C tutorial, where today we will be studying the else and else if statements. Now we will do what we do before. I swear that's the 5th time I haven't clicked it. Nano main.c again. We're going to do what we regularly do. Now just to make sure a lot of these things don't come out of focus that we have studied before, such as the functions, because I've noticed in some C tutorials people tend to ignore them for some reason, like after they've introduced them, along with things like structs, but we'll get onto that later. But we're going to try and keep them in focus because every single one of these skills is integral to if you want to make your own C program. So what we're going to do first is we're going to declare a variable. Let's call it banana, and then we're going to take some user input from it. I'm going to prompt them, say maybe not birth, let's say age. And then we're going to use scanf that we covered in lesson 3, I believe, to get our answer. Now this is where things get interesting, because, well, I showed you earlier the thing called if, so if we do that's all well and good, that will work on its own. And we can also do a bunch of ifs as well. But there's one problem with that. I know I could just, like, put in %d and then output that, but the thing is if there's a bug, then it's going to output the wrong thing in it. So what we could do is we could go if, not of, if. We could do that to the end of time, and that would work fine within the context of a program in some ways, but in others it wouldn't, because if you just do an if statement, it makes everything mutually exclusive. So you can, if it does banana equals 5, if you do that bit of code there twice and you repeat it, it'll print out you are 5 twice. Instead, if you insult else if, it will run in unison, so it will only execute once through this sort of a grouping. So it'll only run through one of the if, else ifs or else statements. I'll move on to the else statement in a minute. So we can also make these different in context to this, so we can make banana, say, using the assignment, not using the assignment operator, rather using the comparison operator, for example, like I suggested before. So I'm not sure if I went over it, I think I went over it, but so all this essentially means is that this will run, it'll go through, does it equal 5? If it does, it will execute this, but it won't execute this. Obviously the parameter here disallows it anyway, but if we do else if banana equals 5 down here, it will only print one of them, whereas if we just use bog standard if statements, we'd print it twice. So then we've got that. And then, introducing the else statement, what that will do is that if any of these inputs aren't, now repeat aren't, like these up here, it will execute this code automatically. So, what we do is, let's say, aren't 5 or 10. 10 even. So just to give you a rundown of this, if our user types in 5, it will execute this and not this. If he types in 10, it will execute this but not these two here. But if he types in anything else, it will execute this and completely ignore these. Whereas if I was to just do, this bloody cursor works, I'll move that there. So if we were to do this, it would print out 5 twice. But we're not going to do that because you can just do that on your compiler, because surely you should be coding. Also, one thing I would like to touch on before I go ahead and compile this is that you should have an individual directory or folder for those who don't know what a directory is. Directory is essentially a folder or a certain area on your hard drive, like you know, like a directory or thing. So it's an area on your hard drive. You know where you have my documents, my downloads, things like that on Windows, and things like user and etc. on Linux and Unix based systems. Those are directories, just to clarify. So let's go ahead and compile this. So you're going to go gcc -o -o even. We're going to call it elsif, and we are going to include our main.c file, not x.c even, and it's going to compile it in some point. So now it's compiled, we're going to run it like we have every other tutorial. And then we're going to type our age, say 19, and it will output that. Now that is proof that our else statement works. Now if we type in 5, it will execute UR5, but not any of the other stuff. And the same with 10. So bingo. Now if we were to, what this helps with is that if somebody makes a mistake in programming, like if they include the wrong parameter twice or something, so they do 2 e = 5s, then it doesn't output it twice, so it doesn't look odd. Now that could arguably confuse somebody, but overall I think it's a lot easier. So thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I definitely enjoyed teaching you guys. So thanks for watching.